May I just indulge you for a few moments? Because some years ago, I had lunch. I was invited to lunch by Stephen Gilbert, who's now Lord Gilbert. And at the time, he was the director of Conservative Central Office. Today, he is the campaign advisor to the Shadow Cabinet. And he told me at that lunch that the Conservative Party didn't need or want members, because he thought that we should be like the Republican Party in the United States, which is not a membership party, and that we should rely, because it's much easier to rely on the big donors. And after all, the 75% of Conservative Central Office's income comes from 10 donors. And I put it to him that that's all very well, but the previous presidential election cost $4 billion, because in the USA they pay their canvassers and people to get the vote out. But he didn't answer that point. But the result is, today, the big donors control the Conservative Party.
John, your question.
Yes, I'm coming to the question. Thank you, Caroline. They're trying to run the Conservative Party like a business. And a business is different, because you can control things by fear, by saying, do this or you'll lose your job, or by incentive, by saying, do this and we'll give you a promotion. You can't do that with volunteers. And the point is, because as a result, volunteers are walking away. The question is this: the next 100 seats that we've got to win are marginal seats. And to win the marginal seats, you've got to have feet on the ground. And if you don't have feet on the ground, we won't win those marginal seats, those 100 marginal seats. So what are you going to do to get feet on the ground and get members back into the Conservative Party?
Thank you, John. Just while I answer this question, I'll just weave in some comments from some questions I heard yesterday, particularly on the candidate selections for Conservative MPs and Central Office. So I'm actually involved in the vetting process and interview process now for new candidates coming through. And there are a number of those from the new intake, like Jack Rankin, who was here yesterday, Bradley Thomas, Lewis Cocking, who are on the right of the Conservative Party, that are now actually at that initial stage to ensure that those that stand under the Conservative Party's banner are properly, authentically Conservative people. Because, you know, there has been criticisms, you alluded to it yesterday, that we haven't been selecting the right candidates and the right people in our seats. So I can assure you there have been changes since Kemi took over. In terms of mass membership organisation, absolutely right. I disagree with those comments that you alluded to, that we do need to be a mass membership organisation, particularly, as you say, in those, every seat's a marginal seat, right? In those seats where you've got to get out there, you've got to leaflet, you've got to be canvassing, you've got to be getting out the vote, all those things require people. You've got to have an offering for members. And I think some associations have lost that over the years, particularly those associations where they've always had 20, 30,000 majorities. They've never had to truly work hard. They've never had to actually, hold the functions, do their own fundraising locally, get out there and recruit people. So I think there has to be a cultural shift in Central Office. Now, I've had problems with Central Office over the years. In fact, I'll give you a story. When I put my application in to be the candidate for the seat that I'm in, I know there were games going on. I know Central Office would try to stop me being the candidate because I was perhaps too right-wing for them. And I know they were trying to put in more liberal-minded fads into that seat. So I've seen, firsthand the games that go on. But I can assure you that since Kemi's taken over, she has actually, did a lot of reform in Central Office. She's got rid of a lot of people that were part of that malaise in Central Office. She's starting to turn it around. Now, it is a juggernaut. It is a huge organisation. And I'm assured that she's taking a step in the right direction. And I will continue to make the case, as will my new intake colleagues, that we do need to continue to expand membership. I know you mentioned earlier before the question that the last mass membership drive in the 1980s. I think we've got to get back to having that offering to members. So, and I think most MPs get that. I think they do get that. So, although it maybe isn't seen that way, I get it, I understand it, I would make in that case.
On the microphone, just to say, Peter, I'm halfway through my